This one may be controversial. How to Train Your Dragon. There is, yes, I love the word kerfuffle. Yeah. How to Train Your Dragon. There's a little kerfuffle regarding the casting of Astrid, who is quarter black. She is not Viking.
Garrett? Oh,
it is a fantasy story. So I don't know what that means. This is a video that went viral. I'm just going to play this video. It's short. It's like 1 minute. This is young woman's opinion. She is a fan, and she's very opinionated. This could be. Wait, just wait to watch the video first.
Sorry, no, we read a
Sorry, the comment,
the comment was amazing.
All right,
that section
Here
is
we
amazing
go.
right now.
Let's 1 minute. We'll talk about it on the backside, so to speak.
The fuck?
Dragons are real.
And before you start with me, yeah, it has to do with her race. Because this is a story about Vikings. Look at the real Astrid. Blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, people love to throw out the term whitewashed a lot, but I would really love to discuss what kind of color washing is happening to every live action movie that comes out now. Didn't need it. Definitely didn't need it. Still don't want it. And here you guys are basically making the Lion King live action with How to Train Your Dragon. Just because you hired real actors does not mean that you're not gonna have to CGI half that fucking movie. That's not even the point. I was willing to let go of the CGI thing when you weren't gonna do another race swap. What is so hard about staying true to the original stories? Do we have to keep reinventing them? Because obviously no one likes them. Except for the loudmouth stars that you choose to do them, of course. Because here is the new Astrid saying, I could never do America Ferrera's interpretation of Astrid because I am not her. Well, then maybe you shouldn't be her. Honestly, I think we're at the point where we can start calling this cultural appropriation. You know, I was willing to let go of the mermaid thing and the blue fairy thing and all these things because those are just mythological, made-up things. But now you're just distorting history so that you can effectively pander. I hear a lot of people complain that we don't talk about Black history enough. Well, yeah, maybe it's because y'all are busy stealing everyone else's history.
Holy shit, Mally. Oh my god.
Okay, she went hard.
Quite a mouth on her.
She went hard on that.
So angry.
Yeah.
I like Mally.
I like Mally.
Angry in front of his name. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this? I am not How to Train.
Actually,
Your
I do
Dragon.
have a lot to say about this. But
I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of that series. My daughter loves it, and she was disappointed. She did not like that new trailer that dropped. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm tired of the argument that, you know, it's a fictional character. Who cares what race they are? I'm sick of that argument. I'm done with it. Look, even in the realm of fiction, the realm of fantasy, sci-fi, whatever you want to call it, there has to be a level of believability.
Verisimilitude.
We're talking about Vikings. I don't care what y'all say. There were no black Vikings, and if there were, it was maybe one or two that got abducted by other Vikings, and they just became part of the clan or something like that. But let's just stop. There has never been a black woman in the history of the world named Astrid. Sorry, like there just wasn't. There isn't. So let's stop the bullshit. And look, even in the realm of dragons, there needs to be a level of believability, right? Now, this girl is a quarter black. She's, you know, and I've seen pictures of her. She's definitely whiter passing than most black people. And I don't know, maybe if they dyed her hair blonde, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But the point is, like, you know, they're trying to pander, and that's the problem. They could have just cast a blonde actress to play.
The director said they tried. He said they got people that look just like the character.
That's some bullshit.
There's not one talented blonde actress who could have played that part.
Yeah,
I'm for calling him a liar too, but he is saying that they tried to get someone that looked like the counterpart, and this is who best embodied the character.
No, they were told. No, they were told to cast someone of color. That's what really happened.
My co-host would
say that they tried.
Different co-host, sorry. I believe that too, but
that's fine. They could have still made her blonde. I've seen photos of this actress as a blonde, and she looks beautiful. Why didn't they make her blonde?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, Chris Evans has played two. That's right, two iconic Marvel characters. Both are blonde. He never went blonde. Johnny Storm and Steve Rogers, which always annoyed me about Chris Evans. Sorry to cut you off, Steph.
No, that's okay. We've always discussed like the erasure of, you know, the redheads in Hollywood. They're coming after the blondes now because it's not just Astrid. There are 3 other characters who are blonde in Hiccup's friend group, Rough Nut, Fish Legs, and Tough Nut. None of them are blonde. And it's because they're afraid to say that they're afraid of like reactions, right? From from the woke crowd saying, oh, this movie is too white. It's too white. It's going to be too white. But that's what the original freaking movie is. The cast,
you know who has blonde hair,
are white because they're Vikings. That's the movie that we grew up with. And with the director going online and saying like, oh, well, you know, I'm making something fantasy. This isn't a history lesson. Okay, understandable. But when you make Rough Nut and Tough Nut, you know, now you're making them redheads. Okay, fine. Why not blonde? And if he comes back and says like, oh, well, because, you know, Vikings are, I'm sorry, this isn't a history lesson. You're pulling from a visual medium that people grew up with. Why aren't you making it just like that? If you're not going to do that, if you're not going to be, you know, if you're making a movie and it's not a history lesson, then what's the point? What's the point if you're going to be pulling from this visual medium that everybody grew up with, that everybody loves? It's such a huge franchise. I love it. I think all three movies are goated. I love the How to Train Your Dragon movies.
They're
if
great.
you're going to pull from a visual medium and it's not going to look like it, then what's the point? You're getting Gerard Butler.
It reminds you it's fake.
He played stoic in the originals. What you're making all of the dragons look like the dragons from the original cartoon. So what's the point of you doing that if you're not going to also make the rest of the characters look like the original characters? I mean, shit, they made Rough Nut fat. I'm more pissed that they made Rough Nut fat. She's a big fat fatty. Why did you do that? She's a twin. She's a
Body
twin with her other
positivity.
brother. Why'd you make her a big fat fatty? And then the other character that they changed was Fish Legs. Fish Legs is a really tall, really big, blonde, you know, white type of nerd. And in the movie, the actor who's playing him, I think it's like Polynesian. So like, why are you changing all of that? What's the point if you're going to not, you know, if it's not, okay, it's not a history lesson, that's fine. You're pulling it from a visual medium. So why are you doing that? Why are you changing it? But it's because they were told to. It's because of, oh, well, we want to diversify our cast. They won't say that, but that is the reason that they're doing it. They need to diversify their cast.
There's also the Academy Awards stipulations too, right? So they want to try to see if they can contend for Oscars for next year.
And Universal Studios has their rides coming. They're going to feature it.
And I will say this. I think we're lucky we got a blonde Galinda. So
Isn't Galinda redhead
Galinda.
original in the at least the musical? Yeah.
Well, I think you nailed though. The problem that people have when it becomes obvious that that's what they're doing, that they're changing things for the sake of changing them to score points or create more diversity, or I'm sure in a business perspective, they're like, well, it'll play better globally if we have more diversity in all of these. I understand from what they're trying to do. The problem is when it becomes so egregious, it gets in the way of what they're trying to do, which is turn one thing from one medium as in terms of animation into live action. It becomes egregious, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. And you're asking yourself, what is, from a business perspective, why are you then putting yourself behind the 8 ball in doing something that's egregiously, obviously pandering? And then you have to overcome that with the audience that loves the initial property in the first place. When everyone's going, oh, okay, now you're going to do, I mean, body positivity. The human body is like a machine. And when it is acting, or when it's being treated like a machine, like it's a well-oiled machine, it looks a certain way. And that's just how it works. And in the days of yore, you know, were people eating a lot of sugary foods, you know, and then when you make a character egregiously, say, overweight, you ask yourself, why is the point of that? Like, what are you saying to our youth? That it's okay to be overweight when you had these characters? Why are you going to insert that character? Why are you making that change? I mean, there's a reason why people watch superhero or read superhero movies or watch superhero movies and read comics. These are fantasy characters. They're aspirational in our imaginations. And to try and make them ordinary and to try to make them more everyday is ridiculous. It defeats the whole purpose of what fantasy is all about.